I'm remembering about the Depression that I don't remember anything about it, in that I ever felt deprived of anything. As Eugene said, maybe we were poor, but everybody else was like that, and I had no idea that we were poor. Although I think my father really struggled and did very well for himself. He was a wonderful worker, and he was a wonderful employer. He had the same employees for 30 years, 40 years. Connie Carlson and Bill Larry, they all were crazy about my father. And he was wonderful to his employees. And he was just a really wonderful person. And I remember I used to work at the shop after I was married for a while. I wasn't a real bookkeeper, but I did work there. And I remember that I used to love to help out in the shop. And there was something called a brake that you bent metal with. And I used to help bend the metal. And I knew all the people that used to come in and buy things. It was interesting. That was the time that they bought copper tanks to make liquor. And I remember that we made them for many, many people who used to come in. And also on Harding Street, where our shop was, it was over, I forgot the name of the river, that
It's the Blackstone.
the Blackstone River. And there used to be very big rats. And in fact, my little office, they had to put metal on the door to prevent the rats from coming through and scratching on the wooden door. But we had wonderful employees who loved, when Dave took over the business, his employees loved Dave the way my father's employees loved him. And there was Walter Ostermecki and Ray, and they used to shoot the rats. They were devoted to Dave in every way. And Ray, who was deaf, was able to communicate with Dave. I don't know how. It was not sign language, but he and Dave had a terrific relationship. Harding Street was parallel with Water Street. Water Street was the Jewish section of the East Side. Everybody shopped there. There were 3 or 4 butchers, there were fruit stores, there was a separate store for Whitman's that you bought lox and whitefish. And in those days, people waited on you. You didn't, there were no markets the way there are now. And I remember very vividly going into Whitman's and buying all kinds of things, especially for the weekend, then going to Zellen's. And one funny story is about my father. There was somebody on the Water Street called Grossman's, and they had fruit and vegetables. And my father loved melons, and he loved to give people melons. And he used to buy them and store them in his car when they lived on Chandler Street, and he wasn't working as much anymore. And everybody remembers that he bought melons for everybody. But also something interesting, there was the Broadway, and Dave and I became very friendly with the Halperins who owned the Broadway. And we remained very good friends until they both died. But Dave and Sender had a very, very close relationship. And I used to go in there to buy a soda, or an ice cream soda or a regular soda. And I used to weigh myself. It cost a penny to weigh myself. And if I weighed a pound extra, I wouldn't get a soda. But if I weighed okay, I would get a soda.
Did you not have a scale at home? Did you have to? The
I
only
don't
way,
remember having a scale at home.
you had to go pay a penny to weigh yourself, huh?
I think you could get a
Yeah.
fortune too with your.
You know, talking with the water rats, my
Ooh,
father took up a 22 once to get one of them.
ooh.
And he hit the pipe, the main water pipe, and it had a flood.
Was it Dad that did that?
I think it was Dad. I'm not sure, that's why I remember the story.